These honorees represent the very best of our graduates, and today they take their rightful place in the Alumni Hall of Fame. The 2021 Hall of Fame inductees are retired Army Lieutenant Colonel G.A. Redding,
I also want to thank all those being honored today, our trailblazers and our Hall of Fame inductees, for your exceptional service and for your contributions to the public affairs community. I think we all know that we stand on your broad shoulders and that we are grateful for the contributions you made and that you continue to make to our military and to our nation. And so we are deeply honored to have her with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Dr. Kathleen Hicks. Ma'am.
So first, thank you to John for that incredibly warm introduction. At the outset, I want to offer my congratulations to the 2021 DINFOS Hall of Fame inductees. Lieutenant Colonel G.A. Redding. I had the chance to read the accomplishments of each of the 2021 inductees, and I was struck not only by how clearly impressive they are, but in how remarkably varied they are in scope. Lieutenant Colonel Redding created the first superstation within the American Forces Network and greatly increased opportunities for female service members with combat camera units. In closing, once again, congratulations to the DINFOS Hall of Fame inductees. Your accomplishments are truly remarkable. They have had a lasting impact, not just within military public affairs, but for the Department of Defense more broadly.
Lieutenant Colonel Redding, could you please come forward?
Well, thank you very much for coming. I certainly do appreciate this and the honor as well. I'm going to take a slightly different approach than Jim. I'll start with Fort Meade. When I was 13 years old, I got a job here in the bowling alley as a pin setter. How about that? That's because we were waiting to be assigned to Saigon, where my father had already preceded us. So my sister Roz and my mother and I went to Saigon, and I went to junior high. Let's go forward 10 years. I've gone through now DINFOS. I'm landing at Tonsanut. The sights, the sounds are all so very familiar. I check into Camp Alpha. I just happened to run into the NCO that I'd worked with in Brussels. And as an AG officer, I was given a little bit special treatment at Camp Alpha on in-processing. List everything through. Sir, would you like to, your assignment? Now I had waived sole surviving son for a public affairs assignment, information officer assignment at that time, and that was granted. And I was moved up to Da Nang the following day on an aircraft that didn't leave at 05:30. Again, it pays to have friends. When I got into Da Nang, I worked with General Frederick Crozen, who at that time was a 2-star. And there was also a Deputy 1-star. I relieved another Army captain, Major John Boretsky, more eager to get out in the field since he was an armor officer. As an AG, I wasn't all that interested in getting out in the field. That's the way it works. Now, my morning routine was basically go to the Tactical Operations Center, you get a command briefing, you find out where the hot spots are, and then I would go back to my office. Occasionally there'd be news media there. And I'd sit down and I'd have a big map. I'd say, well, you don't want to go here, you don't want to go there, but you might find a good story over here. And I would do that, through the day, go about my business. Then I would also escort media back and forth. I spent an awful lot of time in helicopters. I've gone down in 2 of them, and that's just the way life was. So now also, I found out very early there were really 2 chains of command. There was the general, and then there was also the Military Assistance Command Office of Information, the public affairs guys. And so we had a dual chain. And so basically what would happen is whenever media came into my area, I would get a call from Saigon saying, oh, by the way, CBS reporters coming up, ABC reporters coming up, and then I would make arrangements accordingly. And we did have some very interesting challenges because not all reporters will respond to your briefing the same way. Trust me, you can tell a group one thing, and it's like that circle game, where the theme changes. Well, I learned which reporters I could talk to and which ones I couldn't talk to, and it's really called echo sounding is the term for that. And so you knew who you could trust and who you couldn't trust. Became very, 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 very useful. I found out that not all reporters played fair. That's okay. I can deal with them. You just sort of cut them off. Now, one of the more significant events in my tour was the removal of the last U.S. military combat unit. And I had the opportunity to do that. These were the gimlets on Hill 260. And I was the public affairs officer. I flew in with the CBS crew. 4 choppers came in. We photographed the very last time an artillery round was fired in Vietnam, and also the very last time the U.S. flag was lowered in Vietnam. My take on the Iwo Jima thing. But I have those, and those are, I still have the original photographs, by the way. Not quite in this book, but in another book. Now, when that was all done, well, we're sitting there waiting to be airlifted back out of the base. No one's there because what we were done, we brought in Vietnamese soldiers and hauling out the American soldiers. It was sort of a round-robin thing that went on for several hours. When that was done, the helicopter finally came in. My call sign was Peter Printout. They came in and got me along with the CBS guys. And when I stepped on the skid out of there, that put me as the last U.S. soldier out of Vietnam, the fire base in Vietnam. There was no other after that. Now, all of what I'm saying is documented, by the way. It is, I've got all in words, stuff like that, so everything I'm going to talk about. My work with MAC-OI was good enough where I was offered the deputy position for Armed Forces Radio and Television Service in Vietnam. So, and there is a very nice website out of some 500 broadcasters that worked in that particular field facility in Vietnam. 500 of us. There is an alpha list. I'm about 20 names ahead of Pat Sajak. But now, after Vietnam, I did an obligatory AG tour in Huntsville, Alabama, and then I was brought into DINFOS, where I was chief of the broadcast instructor division for a couple of years. We did some pretty good work there, realigning the courses. Some of them are some courses are very fun. I don't know that you still have them here or not. I always like Stump the Stars, where we brought the general officers and we gave them trick questions. We actually brought in the senior the students, and we gave them trick questions, and then we'd go and we edit the tape to make them look like fools. It worked out pretty good. I did, and I don't think they enjoyed it. Well, it was actually a good learning experience. And then I got a call from AFIS. You have been reassigned to OSD Public Affairs, AFIS. Okay. In the Pentagon, works for me. I was misassigned. I was originally put in as a GS-15, got to figure this now as a captain now, as a 15, as the admin officer to the Secretary of Public Affairs. At that time, we were launching the Defense Audiovisual Agency. It fell upon me as the AG to validate all the funding, all the staffing, and everything else attendant to initiating the Defense Audiovisual Agency. I did that in a few weeks, got assigned off by the director, and the agency moved to Norton Air Force Base, the only DoD agency outside the military district of Washington. It had problems. I'll get to that a little bit later on. So now I'm back at AFIS doing my own thing, and as much as I could do my own thing. And I got a call from the sports director at AFRTS in Los Angeles. GA, we've got a problem. Traditionally, we had broadcast by satellite the Super Bowl games. Unfortunately, some individual using a credit card bought 15 minutes of time with AT&T on a satellite transponder and was basically holding AFRTS hostage. How's that? You didn't know stuff like that occurred. So I got called into Director Robert Cranston's office. GA, what do we do? Well, okay. And he said, can we lease a transponder on a satellite? And I said, well, I don't know, let's go try. And we did. So for the next year or so, I was involved in working with AT&T along with two of my buddies, Air Force Captain Larry Pollock and Jim Barham was our ADP guy. And we basically put together and toured to different countries trying to get landing rights for satellites. This was new stuff. No one ever done it. The FCC didn't even have a rate card on what a transponder would cost. All this was brand new. And so here we are launching a satellite network, AFRTS SatNet. Again, and the industry was going, what? And we did get a little industry buzz. Had to go to Congress to testify, prepared budget books. And I prepared budget books for Director Cranston that basically tripled, almost quadrupled the AFRTS budget. Well, we had to buy satellite dishes, stuff like that. Who knew what they cost? You know, but give it a swag and away you go. So I went to the House Appropriations Committee in uniform, one of the very few times I was ever in uniform, sat behind Director Cranston, and after convincing the committee that we could not use military satellites because we would have a 0-0 restoration priority in case something happened, we were given the authority to go ahead and lease satellites, which we did through AT&T. So I got that up and running, and along with my two buddies, and we were rocking and rolling. And then I got the call from my detailer. GA, it's time for you to go. Okay, where are we going? You like camels? No. Okay, well, you have been nominated by Army Chief of Public Affairs, Major General Sullivan, to be the U.S. military and U.S. spokesman for the Camp David Accords in the Sinai. Interesting job. And so, okay, I interviewed with the force commander there, a Norwegian 3-star, and then of course I had my interview with the Chief of Army Public Affairs, who left me with one admonishment. GA, let me tell you, there will be no bad news from the Sinai involving an American soldier. Yes, sir, as if I had any choice. A few days later, I was there, and it became a very interesting tour. I did stick around long enough with camera in hand and was able to photograph the actual transfer of the Sinai Peninsula back to the Egyptians. So I had two flag raising ceremonies, the flag lowering in Vietnam and the flag raising in the Sinai. Pretty good stuff. From there, I got hauled back into the Pentagon to the Army Audiovisual Center as the executive officer, and was in charge then of the Army combat photo team, among other things. I get a call. I would always get calls from desk ops. Well, we need camera footage here, we need coverage here, we need coverage there. And so I got a call that, well, we're having an incident in Honduras. We need a combat camera team. Fine. I call up to Fort Meade, where the combat camera detachment was. Captain, here's your order. I need this, I need this, I need this. Report to Andrews Air Base, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the conversation, I said, Captain, are there any questions? She said, sir, can I go? And I said, Captain, make a command decision. She went. Well, when my boss came back, Colonel Van Orden, Jim Van Orden, I got one of these. Come here, GA. What did you do? And I said, what? You said, you sent a captain into a hostile zone. Yeah. Why did you do that? And I said, well, sir, I was letting her do her job. And he laughed. He just thought that was the funniest thing. Now, understand, I got him his job there, so we were tight. But it was one of those things. And then I rotated the gals through, the other two captains through as well. So everybody got command experience. You got to break the rules every now and again. So in the meantime, I did what's known as a pen and ink change to the TDA. and I removed the requirement for male only and made it sex immaterial. You know, hey, if no one challenged me, fine, I'll just do it. And I did. You know, sometimes you just got to do those things. And then, things are rocking along pretty well. And then I get a call, then Colonel Van Orden comes out and said, GA, you've been reassigned. Sir? He said, you're on detail. What's that? Secretary of Defense Weinberger's office has called you for a special assignment. What is that? You are to oversee the disestablishment of the Defense Audiovisual Agency. Oh, good. Now I'm gonna do this as an Army major, dealing with the chiefs of information of all the services and all the hierarchy in the Defense Audiovisual Agency. And I was like, who is this major that can do this kind of stuff? Well, I set it up, so I kind of knew. And I knew these people. A lot of them were dear friends of mine and colleagues. And so that my job was to go down and basically piecemeal back to the services what had been assembled many years earlier. And the word was out, who's this writing guy? And most of them said, leave him alone. We know who he is. Just let him do his thing. Got it all done. In the meantime, I'm sitting at the APHIS headquarters, and APHIS director Buzz Reiser calls me in. I've known him for years. Come here, Jay. Yes, sir. He said, we have a problem. What's that? The Goldwaters-Nichols Act is calling for a 10% reduction in audiovisual in the Department of Defense for this fiscal year and the out years. What are we going to do about it? So in comes the resource commander, in comes 3 people from the DoD comptroller's office, and we all sat around, 6 of us at a table, and tried to go through options. And they said, well, and they went through, well, we do this, we do that. How do we hide the money? How do we do this? You know, and as a budget guy, you know, okay, I know how to have money. And finally it came to, GA, what do you think? And I said, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take audiovisual, since that seems to be the sticking word, and let's not call it audiovisual anymore. Let's call it visual information. Hey, it worked. And so guess what? Every audiovisual billet in the DoD was changed to visual information. Thank you very much. It's amazing what you can do if you're not challenged, and nobody has a better idea. So that's how visual information came to be. So, you know, that's kind of the. Now after that, then I was all done. They moved me back in back to APHIS headquarters again. Buzz Reiser gave me a few things to do. But now the problem for the industry is we were moving from analog video to digital video. And so now, as the chief of audiovisual products, I was reviewing industry's digital camera operations. Sony comes up and says, GA, and I'd known it for a long time because I used to buy the Sony equipment for FRTS. We have a digital camera for you. Having this massive camera. It had a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk. It took 12 black and white pictures at 320 by 240 resolution. And it had a proprietary battery system. Sorry, can't do that anymore. And then I had the VHS wars, Beta versus Sony-Max. Couldn't do it because Sony was, again, it was a proprietary system. Worked through all that, and then I decided that we had to go a little bit further, and I got involved in video discs, because video discs were all analog. And so the idea is now, because the world's going digital, we have to change video discs to digital. And so I moved $200,000 of APHIS money into the Bureau of Standards, and we formed a team with industry to develop video standards, JPEG, all of JPEG forms you know. These are my actual books that I had, some 30 years, and this is compact disc terminology, it's CD-ROM production, it's integrating mixed mode CD-ROMs and all that. So you never know quite what you get involved in. After we did all of this work, it took 3 years to do that, and then after we did that, we moved on to something else called DVD. Do you know what DVD stands for? Takers? Digital Versatile Disc. Because it can do audio, MOPIC, graphic, it's the DVD. And even today, I am still on the DVD SIG. So that kind of wraps it up for me. I had one prop. This is a daily record that I kept in ink of every day in Vietnam, what I did, who I met, and what. 333 days. All of this, by the way, is online. I integrated some photographs that I took, and there's some 400 photographs that go along with this. So I've captured my time. I did the same thing for my work in the Sinai as well. So with that, I do recall the DOD's motto that I had. I had 2 martini glasses and a shield, and it said, "Last to know, first to go." And so you never know where your career is going to take you. I've had a pretty good ride. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations again to all of our honorees. Let's have another round of applause for the Defense Information School Hall of Fame Class of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you very much for attending and watching online.